ladies and gentlemen of Pennsylvania and America as a whole. My name is Israel Cruz, and I did not make this video to show you that I'm great. Quite the contrary. I came here to show you that you are great and why you need someone like me to emulate your greatness in Washington, D.C. Here's a story I'd like to say. As a child, I grew up watching Captain Planet. Please entertain me. You see, everyone thought that Captain Planet was a hero. Everyone but me. When there was a problem, he came, he did some things, and at the end of the show, everything was wrapped up in a nice little bow. What happened next is that he would leave, break apart, and the power would return back to the rings of the people. Captain Planet, when summoned, would always say, "By your powers combined, I am Captain Planet." In my understanding, he was nothing but a servant who came, did his job, and left, leaving those with the actual power to fend for themselves as they could. Of course, until he was again needed in the future. This analogy is pretty much what the founding fathers wanted those who run for office to be like. When looking at the Constitution, everything is written in the same font, save 3 words: "We the people." This 3-word statement let us understand the priorities of the founders. No matter who wielded the power, whether it was Democrats or Republicans, at the end of all things, it was always the people who owned the power. As I said, my name is Israel Cruz, and the only experience I can boast about is being a servant all my life. Whether it was volunteering in nursing homes, teaching toddlers, volunteering in the church, reconstructing it, aiding in their finances, working with the homeless and the veterans, to find them homes, programs to better themselves, even to the point of working with those with mental illness. Unlike most politicians that look for your vote by boasting about their greatness, I come here to tell you that I am not great, that I am qualified for this job because I am one of you. In 2011, after losing my apartment, I was homeless. And it was only by the grace of God and the love of the people, my next door neighbors, that I only spent a few days sleeping in the street. During that time before, I had fallen in a deep depression because I lost my mom, my stepdad, my grandfather, all of whom I had given up time of learning and life to aid, only to lose them all in less than a year. Needless to say, my young mind, it was too much for my young mind to handle. I had nothing to lose. I could have joined gangs, used drugs, as it's rampant in the streets of New York and Philly. I could have died from an overdose, a gunshot, yet I stand here in front of you, a husband, no longer depressed, a father with an optimistic mindset. Whereas in 2011, I was a homeless man. Today, I own 2 homes, something I could have never done in New York. I now live in a quiet neighborhood, far from the cries and gunshots of the ghettos. This should be the time I drop off the radar and just enjoy my life. But unfortunately, I can't. I made it with the help and support of people. It must be paid back. When I look at Washington, I see a bunch of self-serving elites in all parties, an ineffective government that only cares about itself. While more Americans turn to drugs, alcohol, the streets are becoming more violent. Inflation is running rampant. Our farmers, the very farmers that sustain our lives, are going bankrupt. If I sit on my hands and I do nothing, I am no better than Joe Biden, than Nancy Pelosi, or any other politician. So I come to today with an optimistic mindset, believing that people are already tired of the status quo, electing people because of status. I believe that the tide in America is changing, that Americans want to go back to a simpler time when the servants served and the people reigned, and where the nuclear family was valued. Yet the root causes of today's generation, a generation of empty hearts and lost minds, is the destruction of the nuclear family. All parties are to blame for this to some degree, but I see that the ones who want to rectify this situation are we, the Republicans. We want to see a baby born with the ability to have both parents, a choice of how to be educated and who gets to educate them. Benjamin Franklin is quoted as saying, "An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure." When I was a child, there was less homelessness. Economics taught people to be self-sufficient, and they knew the value of the dollar, even how to invest it. We invoke the name of God in the Pledge of Allegiance because we knew that our rights do not come from the government, but from an all-powerful God. As such, it cannot be revoked by anyone nor any government. The people do not know how to vote or how the government works because civics were removed from the schools. And as such, it has created a void in understanding. Again, Benjamin Franklin said, "An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure." The Democrats systematically removed all preventative measures in schools so that they could peddle band-aids in lieu of cures. In family, when someone's hurt, they're sick, in need, it's the family that pulls and works together to get that person out of that situation in whatever way they can. Our president is to be like a father and should guide everything in the nation so that we pool resources, and sometimes without even finances, and get it done by sheer force and/or volunteering. Joe Biden is more like an abusive father, allowing everyone else to come into this country and abuse the resources that belong to his supposed children. All the while, letting Americans suffer while he praises the almighty dollar. Good news. America is waking up, and there are many like me, though poor, unconnected, and not super educated, yet smart in tactic and great in resolve, to go out to the reins of power, not for themselves, but to guide America back to where it came from. It came from a land where all are welcome, but must work to attain the dream. We will be able to dream again, but don't be like the Democrats, always doing the same thing and expecting different results. Only one thing that is free is worth having, and that is salvation. Everything else must be worked for. If you really want to change the course of America, change who you elect in America to be your upcoming leaders. Because in the end, the power is yours. Thank you. God bless you. And God bless America. I'm Israel Cruz for U.S. Senate. Please look me up at Israel, 4, Senate.com. Israel, 4, Senate.com. Thank you.